Imagine this. You're 6 months pregnant, carrying the child you and your husband dreamed of for years. You're exhausted, emotional, and craving nothing more than his support. Then, without warning, he turns to you and says, "Get out. I need you to leave." Not because of anything you've done, but because he wants to impress his friends. He kicks you out of your own home, leaving you to fend for yourself. How would you feel? Betrayed? Humiliated? Heartbroken? Or would you find the strength to rise above it all? This isn't just a story. It's a reality for many women who face unimaginable challenges. But what happens when the tables turn? When the one who was wronged becomes the one who takes control? Stay with us as we unravel a tale of betrayal, resilience, and a revenge that no one saw coming. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Meet Sarah. She was a woman with everything to offer. A bright future and a career that she had worked tirelessly for, an ambition that many admired, and a heart full of love. She was the kind of person who always put others first, who believed in the goodness of people even when life tested her at every turn. She believed in love, deeply. It was something she had always longed for, to share her life with someone who would stand by her, support her dreams, and walk beside her through thick and thin. And then there was Michael, the man she had fallen for so hard. He was charming, with a smile that could light up any room. Michael had been her rock when they first met. He was the one who made her laugh when she thought she could cry, the one who made her feel like she was the only woman in the world. He made promises of a bright future, together, forever. And Sarah, with all her heart, believed him. She thought that the sacrifices she made for him, for their future, would be met with the same love and commitment she had given him. But somewhere along the way, that love, what she thought was love, began to change. Michael wasn't the man she thought he was. Behind the laughter and the charm, there was something else. Something cold, something controlling. At first, Sarah didn't see it. It started small, the little jabs, the way he would belittle her in front of others. But it got worse. Slowly, his disregard for her feelings, for her sacrifices, became impossible to ignore. Michael didn't see her as his equal anymore. No, Sarah had become the woman who served, who cleaned, who made sure everything was perfect for him. It didn't matter that she was pregnant, carrying his child. His focus was on himself, on his friends, on the business he was building. It was as if Sarah had become invisible to him, and this was where the cruelty began to show. She had always supported him, believed in him. But one night, when Michael needed his friends to see him as the man of the house, he asked Sarah to leave. His words hit like a slap across her face. "You need to get out," he told her. "I need to impress my friends tonight." As simple as that. A statement that shattered the world she thought she had built with him. How could this happen? How did she get to this point? The truth was, Sarah had been losing herself. Slowly, bit by bit, she had been giving up pieces of herself to support Michael, to support their shared future. But now, it felt like she was losing everything. What happens when a woman reaches her breaking point? When she's pushed so far that she begins to question everything she ever knew about love? What happens when the person she loved most becomes the one who makes her feel the most invisible? Sarah was no longer the hopeful woman she once was. No, this was a moment of clarity, a moment that would change everything. The stakes were high, and they had never been clearer. What was at stake here wasn't just her happiness. It was her dignity, her freedom, and her very sense of self. Sarah realized something that night. The love she had given, the sacrifices she had made, none of it mattered to Michael. He had taken her for granted. And now she would have to take something back, something much more valuable than his love. Her revenge was no longer just a thought. It was a promise, one she would make sure Michael would never forget. As Sarah worked tirelessly to make the night perfect for Michael's celebration, She carried the weight of their relationship on her shoulders. It wasn't just another party, it was Michael's moment, a celebration of his success. And Sarah, ever the supportive wife, was doing everything she could to make sure that night was one for the books. She ran around, making sure the drinks were full, the guests were happy, and the house looked immaculate. She had put in hours of work, shopping, preparing, cleaning, just for him. She had made this night all about him, all to see the smile on his face, to make him proud. But it wasn't just the party that made Sarah feel small. It was the way Michael treated her, the way he disregarded her, not just in front of his friends, but in every small, unspoken way that only she noticed. His compliments had faded, his support disappeared, and all that was left was a cold indifference she could no longer ignore. Michael's words were cruel. They came out of nowhere, like a slap to her face. He humiliated her in front of his friends, belittling her efforts as though they meant nothing. "You should be grateful I married you," he said, with a laugh that echoed around the room. Sarah froze for a moment, as if the words had knocked the air from her lungs. It felt like the floor beneath her shifted, and suddenly the love she had for him seemed like a distant memory. The laughter from Michael's friends filled the space like a fog, smothering any attempt she made to defend herself. His friends, all too eager to join in, cheered him on, egging him further. They slapped him on the back and laughed as if his words were a joke. No one, not even the man she had trusted, seemed to care that her heart was breaking with each passing moment. But then, things took a darker turn. Just when Sarah thought it couldn't get any worse, Michael's words cut deeper. What he said next left her questioning everything she thought she knew about the man she loved. It wasn't just a comment. It was a betrayal, one so sharp and unrelenting that it sent a chill down her spine. Michael, with no regard for the life they had built, casually made a remark that would haunt Sarah for a long time. His laughter stopped, and his friends looked on, waiting for the next move in what seemed like a cruel game. It wasn't the first betrayal. Michael had already shown signs of being someone Sarah could never trust. The signs had been there all along, the way he dismissed her feelings, the cold shoulder he gave her when she needed him most. But this was different. This wasn't just words. This was a reflection of the man he had become, and it was a man Sarah could no longer recognize. Will Sarah ever get out from under his thumb? Will she find the strength to walk away from this cruelty? Keep watching to find out, because what happens next will change everything. It was then that everything changed. Sarah, a woman pushed to her limits, collapsed in agony. The weight of her heartache, the years of enduring cruelty, became too much to bear when Michael did something unthinkable. In that moment, as Sarah fell to the ground, clutching her stomach, Michael stood there, unmoved, uncaring. His words, his actions, had finally broken her. But what Michael didn't know, what he couldn't see, was that he had awakened something far more dangerous than his wife's pain. She wasn't just angry anymore. She was something else, something stronger, something that would not let him get away with this. Sarah would no longer be the silent wife in the background, the woman who had quietly endured the abuse, always putting on a smile, always pretending everything was okay. No more. She was done. Her suffering had transformed into determination, and from that moment, she would be the one to bring him down. She would make him regret everything. Her revenge wasn't about getting back at him in some petty way. It was something deeper, something calculated, and it was about to unfold in the most unexpected way. If this part is making sense, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who's really watching to this point. As Sarah quietly began gathering the pieces of her plan, she dug into the depths of Michael's secrets, his lies, his infidelity, the things he thought were safely hidden from the world. Little did he know, Sarah had already started pulling the strings of his undoing. She wasn't just collecting evidence. She was becoming a master of her own fate. Every conversation, every slip of the tongue, every hidden text message was a piece of the puzzle she was putting together. Michael, so sure of himself, never saw her coming. But Sarah, she saw everything. Was Michael truly a victim of his own insecurities, or was he the mastermind of his own downfall? Sarah's quest for justice began to blur the lines. Was this revenge, or was she simply fighting for her right to be seen? Michael had always painted himself as the hero, but now the truth was emerging. The power dynamics in their marriage were shifting, and Sarah wasn't just playing the victim anymore, she was fighting back. With every secret she uncovered, Sarah's resolve grew stronger. The more she learned, the clearer her path became. What would happen when Michael finally realized that the woman he had so cruelly mistreated was now the one holding all the power? The clock was ticking. His arrogance and pride were about to come crashing down. With every secret she uncovered, Sarah's resolve grew stronger. The more she learned, the clearer her path became. What would happen when Michael finally realized that the woman he had so cruelly mistreated was now the one holding all the power? The clock was ticking. His arrogance and pride were about to come crashing down. The final showdown came when Sarah confronted Michael. He was confident, arrogant, believing he had already won. He thought he could break her, that she was just a shadow of the woman he had once known. But Sarah had one last card to play: her silence, her patience, and the culmination of every twist she had uncovered. When she finally spoke, every word felt like a calculated move, every sentence a step closer to her ultimate goal. In that moment, Michael's world came crashing down, not from the outside, but from within. The lies he had told, the betrayal he had lived with, and the mockery he had so casually thrown at her, all of it came back to haunt him. His tears weren't from guilt. They were from shock, from realization that Sarah, the woman he thought he had broken, was now the one who had taken control. Sarah's revenge wasn't about hurting Michael, it was about reclaiming her life, her power, and her identity. She had no need to explain herself. Her actions spoke volumes. Michael's empire of arrogance, built on her sacrifice, crumbled before his eyes, and Sarah didn't need to say another word. What do you think really happened that night? Was justice served? Let us know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Did Sarah's actions change the course of her life, or was there something more to her story than just revenge? If this story hit you like it did us, hit that like button. It helps us reach more people. And subscribe if you want more gripping stories every week. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't the pain we inflict on others, it's the strength we find within ourselves. Until next time, stay strong and always stand up for yourself.